And so yeah, I couldn't do it. I had no service in the middle of the forest. But yeah, it feels good to be back because it feels like it's been a minute. And I am joined virtually by good old Fish. Oh my gosh, did you change your picture, Fish?
Oh, it's my dog.
Oh, I thought that was you. I'm just kidding. Of course it's your dog.
I mean, look how cute I am, right?
You're adorable. You're like a little Muppet.
You'll laugh at this. I'm because our house has so just for context for people listening, my boyfriend moved to a different state and I'm helping him move right now, but our truck hasn't come yet. So we're in a house with no furniture. And every room that I went into, I was like testing. I was like, oh my God, it's so echoey. I'm sitting in like a 3 foot by 3 foot closet right now. So I don't echo.
Oh no, I'm sorry. You're just like, no, he's not there. So is he going to come home and like hear this little muffled voice and be very
just in the closet?
Yeah, when he finds you like all bent over and like in a little
exactly
ball you are. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. How was the move?
So far okay. I never want to paint another room again for as long as I live.
Oh my gosh, painting
hurts.
Yes. When we painted, it was funny. A friend came and helped me like kind of make my house my own when I first moved in, and we painted one room. And after that, I looked at her and I was like, "Do you think like we could, I don't know, hire someone to paint the next one?"
Yeah, no, we considered it, and I looked at my boyfriend and I said, "Look, for the cost of paying somebody." Like we're spending so much money. Why don't we just suck this up and do it? I mean, it's a lot of money to pay somebody. So we're painting.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's a time and a place in life where it's time to say I'm gonna hand this off to someone else, and there's other times when it's like I'm gonna grit down and I'm gonna do this. And I think the art of life is finding when it is appropriate to do one or the other.
I mean, you should see my arm muscles. So like, it's paying off. But also, my boyfriend's bringing me home Krispy Kreme donuts right now. So, give a little, take a little. It's Krispy Kreme. I'm so excited.
I love Krispy Kreme freaking donuts.
Oh, man.
Also, speaking of donuts and arm muscles, this is a great segue. Got out of aerial rehearsal on my hoop. It's the donut. And arm muscles. My arms are so tired. Oh, my gosh.
Oh my God, I bet.
Like we did some aerial stuff on our last tour, but Fish, I think you're gonna be very impressed when you see we have amped it up a lot. It is.
I mean, I'm excited, but I'm terrified.
I mean, I think it's a much more impressive routine than we did last year. We're up in the air, and anyways, I'm really excited about it. But like, oh my gosh, my hands are still on fire right now from.
Oh, I bet.
That's something I guess I never really thought about going into it. You need the arm strength and the flexibility, but you don't imagine how tired, like when you're holding on for your life up in the air upside down, you're probably twice as hard as you need to, because you think you need to. So it's like this iron grip, and oh my gosh, I look like I've lifted weights for 10 years. Like not my arms, my hands.
I'm so impressed. I haven't even seen it. That's amazing.
I'm really excited. I can't believe that we say this like every week, but tour's like actually coming up. It's almost like rehearsals start in 2 weeks, which is crazy.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Oh my gosh.
I know.
It's okay. We're ready. I've been fixing and sewing costumes here in the empty house. So I'm excited to show you that.
Oh, amazing. Look at that. I mean, I will say I feel like we're more ahead than we've ever been, but it's kind of funny as it's coming. All of a sudden I'm starting to be like, oh gosh, do we have everything? Because it's almost muscle memory to panic. But I'm like, no, I think we're actually going to be okay. Like we're good. We're ready, which is a crazy thought. But I will say, and I'm just going to throw this out there. Fish and I were talking briefly right before we jumped on here. And so I'm just going to ask, and you guys can say in the Discord, we have a Discord, so some people will comment in the Discord as we're talking, but does anyone else feel like they have been extra tired or maybe a little bit down in the because Fish and I were just both confiding in each other that like we've been having a bit of a down. Like, I've been more exhausted. I've been kind of depressed. And it's, and she was saying kind of the same thing.
Seasonal depression. Yeah. It's starting to set in. And like I said on the phone, I know that this happens every year. It's like clockwork. As soon as October rolls around, like last week of September, every year since I was, kindergarten, it would set in, but it always catches me by surprise. And this year just feels a little bit extra bad.
No, I agree. I'm like, okay, I'm reminding myself that this can be normal. Things come in phases, but it's a little extra bad. And so Fish and I are just having a really good talk about like, you know, what we do when we go to those places or when we feel this way. And anyways, kind of, I came out of our conversation and I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts from it, but it was just like giving yourself that allowance to be okay sometimes, to not be okay. Cause it's like, you know, the way I'm feeling right now doesn't even make sense. And we're just going to let that be okay for the time being. I'm not going to beat myself about it. I'm not going to be like, shame on you. I should be more grateful right now. I should be happy. I should be living in this moment and enjoying it. Yeah. You know what? Right now, I'm just going to say it's okay to not be 100% okay. And it will get better. I know it. That's the thing. I'm telling myself that the sun always rises. The moon always finds its light again. Like I will get through this and it's okay.
Yeah.
I know. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I mean, I always, as I got older and started to understand seasonal depression more, I would always remind myself, like, seasonal depression is a season. It will come and it will go. And, you know, my brightness is dimmed a little, just like the sun in the sky is dimmed a little. And that's totally normal. Like today I went and sat in the sun for like 5 minutes, just like letting the heat hit me for a little bit. And I know it's normal. I know that I just need to, you know, have some grace for myself. But I think I said it to you on the phone before we started talking on the show here, that you know, you can forgive yourself and whatnot, and you can do all that stuff. But like, I don't know. I've been kind of just like numbing myself and going into like tunnel vision a little bit. And I think that's almost a bad thing to do. And I kind of want to get better at like acknowledging it and letting it kind of wash over me instead of just numbing it.
Yeah. You know, I think there's also so much power in just turning your awareness to your actions and saying, oh my gosh, I'm, for example, numbing, like you just said. I didn't realize, because sometimes if we just like gloss over life, we don't see little habits that can be little clues to like, oh, I'm not okay right now because I'm numbing myself. Or for me, it's over the last few days, I was 100% hyper focusing, like staying up till like 4 a.m. because I couldn't go to bed. I had to finish this thing and I was hyper focused on it. And I was just telling Fish, like, a music video comes out on Friday. And
oh my God,
I was just like, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. I spent hours and hours and hours and hours, like probably like 5 hours, and almost recut the whole thing, you know, and then, then put it back together, realizing it was better before. But I was like, this isn't about the music video. I had to take a step back and be like, I'm hyper focusing because I'm finding value in something right now, because I'm not feeling okay about something else. And so it's like taking those steps backwards and, well, what is it that I'm not feeling okay about? And the answer might just be, I'm having a bit of a seasonal depression, or I'm having but it also, sometimes you can dig it back and be like, oh my gosh, like, I'm feeling insecure about this. And that's what's causing this ripple, that I stayed up till 4 a.m. trying to fix a music video that didn't need to be fixed. You know what I mean? Like, it's interesting when you focus on those patterns and go backwards.
Right. And it turns into like, you know, like you get the first little pebble rolling down the hill, and then it just slowly turns into like an avalanche. And, you know, for me personally, it's turning into like, well, it starts with seasonal depression becoming a thing, but then I'm not eating well because I don't feel great, and I'm not, you know, being good to my body, and I'm not taking vitamin D. And like, it just starts to somersault down that mountain and gets bigger and bigger and compounds. And
well, I was thinking that because just the other day when I was like, oh my gosh, here I am not feeling great. And yet I've let go of all of my self-care routines practically. Like I haven't been working out quite as regularly. It's been more sporadic. Also, my breath work that I've been raving about and saying how great it's made me feel, I'm kind of doing it, but I miss, like, I've only been doing it like maybe 3 times a week instead of I was doing it every morning. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, all my patterns bring like my gratitude journaling. Oh, haven't done it in a while. It's like, why is it that when you're struggling the most, it's like it's the hardest? But then again, it's all about momentum because our momentum has switched to a downward momentum right now. And you got to muster that moment to like grab those habits or grab those practices and like put them back in to start to slowly switch that momentum to the right direction again. I don't know. That's the best way I can think of it.
No, you're right. I mean, speaking of healthy habits, I'm literally sitting here eating a Krispy Kreme donut. So thank you, Mark. You just dropped me.
Time and a place. Like, I think that you've worked hard. You were just talking about how strong your arms are, you know? So you've earned that donut for sure.
Oh, gosh. Absolutely.
Well, I think maybe we should play a song from our guest today.
That
I think
sounds nice.
Pop on soon, but until she pops on, I think I'm gonna play a song from her. So first of all, I'm really excited about our guest today. We have two of them actually. First, we have Bonnie McKee, who's going to come on. And for those of you who maybe have not been aware of her, first of all, she is an amazing artist, a singer, and performer. She's great live, but also she has written some of the most iconic songs like of our generation. She's written so many songs for Katy Perry, including Roar, Teenage Dream, Last Friday Night. She's written music for, I mean, her credits are endless. Everybody from Hold It Against Me to Britney Spears to, you know, Tayo Cruz's biggest hit. Anyways, it goes on and on. But with that being said, I want to play one of her songs because she has an amazing artist project as well. So we're going to start out by playing my favorite Bonnie McKee song, American Girl. Woohoo! I love that song. That song gets me so pumped when I listen to it. I'm like, yes, that's me. I'm an American girl. Anyways, it feels good. Well, Bonnie McKee is now on, so I'm going to invite her into the chat with us. And I'm excited. I've known Bonnie now for years. I mean, I don't even know how many years, but we've been friends, for like probably 6 years now. Hi, Bonnie. How you doing?
Hi. I'm
good. It's so good to talk to you. I haven't seen you since we wrote our Christmas song together.
I know. What a wild time.
Life is a funny thing, ain't she? I was just thinking about it as I was, getting ready to talk to you today. And I'm like, when did I meet Bonnie? Like, I was trying to think, how did we even become friends? And I'm pretty sure it was through a writing session years ago. And I remember I was so nervous. I was so nervous to write with you because I'm like, I'm freaking about to go into the room with Bonnie McKee, like literally one of the best songwriters in our business.
Oh,
and
so sweet. Thank you.
I was so nervous, but you've always just been so nice to me and like made me feel like I belonged in every room I've been in with you, which I think is such a classy move. Like,
Oh my God. Well, look, I am such a fan of yours and you are such a boss. And honestly, like as an independent artist myself, you are an inspiration. Like I love that you own all your stuff and you do everything yourself. I heard you talking about, editing your music videos, and I do the same thing. And I also tend to hyper focus and stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning. And so I'm like, okay, I see you, I feel you, and we are one and the same. I totally get it. So I have a lot of respect for you and everything that you do. And also, I remember you telling me like you were not, maybe I'm wrong, but you were not like a trained dancer, correct? You kind of just like are naturally good at it.
People might think but I mean, oh gosh, those first videos when I was just starting and like I was definitely not naturally good at it. I think maybe I have an aptitude for it, but once I started, learning and teaching myself, but yeah, gosh, those first videos are really funny because you're like, oh yeah, she's not lying.
You would never know. You're so talented. And I love that too, because I also I grew up loving like Madonna and Britney Spears and all the pop stars that do all the choreography and everything. But I never took dance lessons growing up. And so I was just like, oh, it's too late for me, and then I just kind of, but the same as you, was just like, I'm just going to try it. If I put my mind to it, I can pretty much do anything I try. And sure enough, I'm like pretty decent at it, but I think that you far surpassed me. You're incredible. So anyway, I just have a lot of respect for you, and I love to watch you perform, and you bring so many people so much joy, and you're just a boss.
Well, thanks, Bonnie. And when I've watched your videos, like you did one video, I think it's my favorite video of yours. It's a Christmas one, actually. By the way, everybody should go after you listen to our Christmas song that comes out this week, which is going to be great. But the second best Christmas song in the world is Bonnie's. Like, your Christmas song is so cute. California Winter.
You.
And
California Winter.
Is so cute to it too. Like, and I love that you had the confidence not only to dance in a music video, but to dance in a one take, which is a whole different ball game. There's no safety. There's no net. You're just going out there and showing it all and knowing that you can't hide anything. There's no edits,
Girl, it was one of those things where I was like, there was like 3 weeks till Christmas. I knew the longest part is the edit. And I was like, I don't have time to edit. So I guess I'm just going to have to get this in one shot. So it was all like pre-production. And so we built a whole set and got it in one shot. And I was like, well, there's mistakes in it, but you just pick the best one and that's what you go with,
Right.
It's kind of refreshing where you're just like, there's no cuts allowed. So this is just, we got what we got and that's it,
Honestly, like, you should post that on TikTok, like make it so it can fit a vertical platform, because I feel like that's TikTok's favorite thing now, is not have cuts, to show that you could do it in one take, to see, like you said, if there's little mistakes. I don't remember the mistakes, but to see them, if you can find them and realize that these are all just people, like, you should repost that on TikTok and, this
Thank you.
The game.
Thank you. But I'm so excited for our song. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. When Lindsey called me to do an original Christmas song, I was just like, my dreams are all coming true, because all I've ever wanted is to have like a Christmas hit. You know what I mean? I feel like we really got something going here. So I'm so excited for everybody to hear it.
Yes. Well, I think you should talk about like what the song's about, because actually Bonnie calls me before our session and she's like, I have an idea that I've thought of, and that's one thing that I'm going to ask you about that in a second. But first, maybe I want you to describe what the song's about.
Yeah. So I had written in my notes, I have like a long list of titles that I add to all the time. And one of the things I had written down was like a Christmas nut. Like, I'm crazy for Christmas. Because I have a couple of friends who actually, I sent the early demo to my friends. They inspired me. This couple are just like Christmas freaks where, November 1st, the Christmas tree goes up. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is constantly on TV, or Home Alone, or whatever it is. They're singing Christmas carols. They're burning the cinnamon on the stove, like the whole thing. And I'm just like, this one's for you guys. It's like, it's all about how the Christmas season starts on November 1st. And, I don't necessarily subscribe to that. Honestly, I'm a person that does believe in like Thanksgiving and like fall and autumn colors having their moment. But I do think there are a lot of people out there that are just like, yeah, it's winter, let's go. And so this one is for them.
I freaking love it. And it's funny, I feel like I've lived in Christmas year round for multiple years at this point because of Christmas album. And, you write it through the spring and then you're mixing it in the summer and you're filming videos. So this is all year. So this song spoke to me. I was like, oh yes, like I love celebrating Christmas whenever. I've just kind of gotten into that bad habit. But I will say, I don't think I've ever laughed as much in a writing session as we did when we were making this song. And just, we were just spitballing ideas back and forth of like, what is the most outlandish like visuals we can paint of people who are over Christmas.
It was so much fun. I think one of my favorite lyrics is put the antlers on the Chevy. We're going for a merry ride. Like, what are all of the tacky things that people do around Christmas where it's like, you have the antlers on your car, you have the like ridiculous candles that are like so overly smelly. Like, I love all of that stuff,
Oh, and there were so many different drafts too, because we just, find something and put it in a draft, and then find something and then put it in a draft, all these different little visuals and smells that we were trying to convey. And it really was so much fun. And also I want to kind of mention, now that I've worked with you, a few times only, but I think it's so great how you like take things home and you think about them, and then you came back, because it was a 2-day session. We did one day and then the next day, and you had this whole list of things, like little tiny words that you were like, I feel like this word sings better than this word. What do you think? I feel like we need to replace that word over there. I'm not sure. I didn't figure it out yet, but we need to replace that word. This sentence, I'm not sitting well, so you had like done homework on it and come back and like for a song to pass your bar, it has to be so good and so buttoned up and so tight. And I'm like, that's why Bonnie is one of the great ones, is because you don't let it just stop when it's done. You know, you push the envelope just a little bit farther to make it.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I think I drive a lot of my co-writers crazy with that, because I'm really like a stickler for phonetics. Like, it has to sing well. It has to sing the way that it would sound if you were speaking it in a sentence, you know? And so if the note goes up in an inflection when you wouldn't do that in a sentence, then I'm, you know, I'll try to find something better. Or if something is, you know, kind of throwaway, like filler, as I like to call it, I'm like, how can we get a picture in there? How can we get something that's memorable, you know? Because the more pictures and like kind of nouns you can throw into a song, like the easier it is to remember. And you are such an incredible lyricist, by the way. Like, I had so much fun writing with you. You are just a joy to write with. Like, a lot of times, you know, our artists will come in the room and they'll have like a vibe that they want, and then I'll be doing all the work, and then they're like, yeah, that's good, or that's not. And you are full of great ideas, and we were really genuinely co-writing, and I just really appreciate that and admire that about you.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. Coming from you, that's like the best compliment like I could possibly receive from this conversation. Thank you so much.
It's the truth.
You know, I'm so curious though, because I've actually never asked you this. Like, when did you start realizing you wanted to write songs?
I started writing songs of my own, like from the time I was a little kid. I would like pick a song that I loved on the radio, and then I would write my own words to it. So that was like always a thing for me. And I was big into writing poetry and stuff when I was a kid, and I would enter poetry contests and do like open mics and stuff like that. I love words. I've always loved words. And I also love to sing. And so when I was like 12 or 13, I made a demo CD of just like cover songs of stuff that I love, like Fiona Apple and Carole King and Bette Midler. And my mom like knew somebody in the biz, and so she gave him my demo, and he said, "That's great, kid. You can sing, but can you write?" And I took that challenge very seriously, and I went home and I was like, I think I can, because I knew that I was good with words, and I just had to learn how to write melodies. And it took me a lot longer to learn about melodies. Melodies are very, like, at least in pop music, mathematical. Like it is like a formula, and it took me a long time to really master that. But I just kind of started with a blank page and was just like, what have I got in me? So I started really young, and then I started out as an artist, actually. I got a record deal when I was 16 and moved to Los Angeles by myself, and put out an album, and it flopped, and was heartbroken. And then just kind of, you know, to make some extra cash, I started singing demos, and through that I ended up kind of weaseling my way into some sessions. I didn't even know that being a songwriter was a job. I didn't know that that was an option, you know? Yeah. And so I signed and also, like, back then it really wasn't as advertised as it is these days. There wasn't Spotify where you could look up the credits of songs and stuff. Like, even if you bought an album, like, they didn't list the songwriters usually in the credits. But
right. It's almost like we all just assumed that, I never thought about, did the artist write this, but I just kind of assumed that they must have come from the artist. Like, it was almost like it was a secret. Like, there was like a little bit of a curtain there of illusion to think that it just happened from the artist.
Yeah. And I think that some artists still hold true to that, where they want to be seen as the creator of the songs, even if they're not. But I mean, it's harder to fake it these days. And then there are some artists that really, you know, build up their songwriters and give them shout outs and are appreciative. And I think that's really important. And I mean, a lot of the greats throughout the years did that. You know, Michael Jackson did not write most of his own songs, which blew my mind, but he made them his own because he had like such a unique delivery, you know. And same with Whitney Houston and Celine Dion. Like, these iconic singers, Elvis, didn't write their own songs. And so nowadays I think that, you know, the songwriters get a little more love than they used to, which is nice.
It's so good. And, you know, and it's interesting what you said there. Like, people make it their own. They find a way to put their stamp on it no matter what, you know, the greats do. And I feel like there's this illusion or this like fallacy in our industry where you almost feel like you have to overprove yourself and be like, see, I can do it all. I did everything, you know. Yeah. But the more seasoned I've gotten, and the more, you know, the more I've been in this industry, there's a lot of power that comes from being able to say, actually, that's not my strength. I'm going to let somebody else do that, or I'm going to let somebody else help me with that. And, you know, and then calling out, like you said, the credit, giving, like praising the person for doing it. There's a lot of strength that comes from that. And I think that's kind of one of the things that shows you when someone's great is when they're okay to give up that credit and say like, oh yeah, that was not
Absolutely.
me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you still get the credit for like picking the great people to create with. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, I have good taste in collaborators, and this is the person I brought in because I knew that they could get the job done. You know, like there is, that's like a CEO move. You know what I mean? Like that's like the person in charge, a leader, knows who to delegate to, you know?
Right. No, for sure. And so you kind of alluded to this a little bit before, but how do you come up with the ideas for your songs? Because like I said, you came to me and you were like, Lindsey, I had this idea, and you like had all the like little twinkles in your mind as you were like, you know, pitching it. And I'm like, whoa, usually you go into a room with a songwriter and you're starting from scratch and you kind of brainstorm and you talk for a while until you find your nugget. But I feel like you usually come into sessions with like several nuggets. So how do you come up with these ideas?
You know, sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. With you, it was easy because we were like, okay, we're writing a Christmas song. We knew what we were aiming for. And so if I have a direction like that, or like sometimes I'll be called in to write something specifically for a movie or a TV show or something. And it's like, all right, here's a scene, here's the characters, here's what's going on. And then I can kind of sit around and think about what are some good titles that would kind of encompass that thesis, you know? And then other times I just walk into a room with an artist I've never met before. And I'm like, okay, what do you think? How are you feeling? What keeps you up at night? But I do have like a master list that I pull from. And, you know, it can be anything from the conversations I hear in line at the grocery store, or titles of movies, or, you know, a line that I read in a book, or whatever it is. And then sometimes it's just about like gut wrenching feelings that I feel. I do a lot of journaling. And sometimes I'll stumble across something in my journaling and then I'll write that down. So just having a list of titles can help, even if it's not a title, if it's just like a song about this thing, you know, and then you figure out the title later. But I feel like there's titles everywhere. And like, that was a big epiphany that I had years ago when I was just like, when it started becoming my job to write songs and I had to be creative kind of under the gun, I would come in and be like, I don't have any ideas. I don't know what to do. And there's like, where do I find ideas? And then when I was like, I need to just start making a list. And then now it's like a lot easier where I'm like, okay, no matter what, I come in, I've got some stuff. Sometimes it doesn't match, but it definitely can help, you know?
Right. It's like, at least you know in the back of your mind, I've got something. I got this little arsenal of ideas. I think it was you that told me years ago that sometimes as a writer, you have to divorce yourself from words, I think is what you said.
Right.
And I want you to explain that concept.
I mean, I think that it comes down to like a feeling. Sometimes the feelings will drive where the words come from, or the phonetics too. If I don't have any concepts in my arsenal that day that match the vibe that we're going for, then I'll start with a melody. And starting with a melody can then inform what the phonetics are going to be like. Oh, if this is a big long note, like there's only so many vowels that are going to sing well. So and then I'll work backwards and be like, okay, I'm going to do like a dummy like vocal on it and just sing the vowels that sound right. And then I'll go on a rhyme dictionary and be like, okay, what are all the words that rhyme with I? What are all the words that rhyme with you? Whatever it is. And then I can find like more colorful words that are more unexpected than I or you, and hopefully build something around that.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you talk about it, because you know, like you mentioned before, there's like a formula to writing like a pop song. There's a formula to writing a right kind of melody. And it does kind of take these ambiguous ideas of like, oh my gosh, how do you start a song? And it like breaks it down into all these like different avenues that depending on the situation, you're like, oh, today's this kind of an avenue. Today's this kind of a formula. Today's, which I'm sure makes it a lot less, you know, daunting when someone's like wide-eyed and staring at you, waiting for you to be creative on the spot, which can be terrifying.
Definitely. Yeah.
Like those first songwriting sessions I ever did were like absolutely terrifying. And I don't know if you felt that way when you first started writing, but it's like, be creative on the spot in front of someone. No.
Yeah. And I also, you know, when I first got started, I was so used to writing by myself. And again, it is like kind of an ego death where you have to sort of get away from that and be open to somebody shooting down an idea. And, you know, in the beginning, I think it can kind of hurt your feelings. And it's like, oh, well, my ideas aren't good enough. And you kind of shut down, or you argue about it or whatever. But you get to a point where you're like, wait, like if somebody has a better idea than I do, I still get to be a part of that. I still, you know, like, oh, cool, you have a great idea. And I get to also put my name on that and build on it, you know? So I now, if somebody has a better idea than me, I'm like, fantastic, great. Like I get to build off of your great idea, you know?
Totally.
So I really have a lot more joy in that now. And, you know, in the beginning, it was definitely a tough thing to grapple with, is to be like, you know, kill your darlings, kind of, as they say.
Right. And also realizing that even if someone came up with a better idea, that it's like, oh, that's called brainstorming. You know, like your idea could have led to another idea that led to that idea. It's like we're all a part of it at that point. Like every idea is like kind of a bit of a group effort, even if it didn't come directly from your mind, you know.
Exactly.
Which is
yes.
kind of a nice little pat on the back to remind myself if I'm like, oh, I'm not contributing at all.
No, it's fun to build on other people's ideas. I actually really love it. I do, sometimes I do like kind of song doctoring, where people will bring me a song that's like done or mostly done, but just like this, something's missing or whatever. And then I'll take somebody else's idea and kind of like pull it apart and put it back together and make sense of it. And I really enjoy doing that, because it's like, I don't have to like pull something out of the heavens that's magical. I'm just like, great, how do I fix what already exists, you know?
Right. I have kind of a random question for you, but I'm just, you don't have to say names or anything, but I'm curious, do you have any stories of like songwriting sessions that is like the most LA songwriting session you've ever had? And I'll like share a story first, maybe while you think, because I just think that sometimes things happen in this industry that just make me think this is so LA right now. Like only in LA would this happen. And when I actually came to LA for the very first time to write, and I didn't even live here yet, I was in a writing session. And the funny thing is, nothing like this has ever happened to me since, but it was my first writing session in LA. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh, this just must be how it goes. But we're in the middle of working on a song, and I kid you not, will.i.am just opens the door of the room and like start dancing through the room to the beat that's playing and giving everybody, like me and the other two producers, high fives, and he's like dancing around the room, and it's will.i.am, and I'm like fresh out of Utah, just like what the heck. And like I remember when he came to give me a high five, I panicked, and I just like, it was the worst high five I've ever given, you know, like and then he danced out of the room, but it was just the weirdest, like,
dude, that's so funny, because as soon as you said that, my story's also about will.i.am.
Are you kidding me? Okay, tell it.
No, I was working with this guy, Jean-Baptiste, who's an incredible writer who wrote a bunch of stuff for the Black Eyed Peas and many, many more. And we would write a lot together. And I always wanted to work with the Black Eyed Peas. And there was always kind of this like carrot dangling where it was like, okay, like we're going to write something and he's going to give it to the Peas and it's going to be great. And then one night, it was like a late writing session. We would start late in the day. And so it's like, you know, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, we have something kind of started. And then he's like, okay, like come with me down the street. We're just going to go pick something up real quick. I'm like, okay, whatever. We've been sitting here for hours. Let's do it. So we leave. I forget how it went down, but all of a sudden we're like at this restaurant down the street. And then will.i.am walks in, who he's obviously very tight with. And he's like, okay, you ready to go? And Sean's like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, what? And we go out to his like Lamborghini, and they put me like in the back, which isn't a real seat, by the way. I'm just like sitting in the middle in between them. And I'm like, where are we going? And will.i.am's like, yeah, I've got a gig. And so he's like DJing some club. And so we like go to the club. I'm just like, I'm totally like in my daytime clothes. Like I'm not cute. I'm not prepared to go to like a big wild club. And we walk in and it's all like VIP, the whole thing, you know? And then we just like went backstage, and all of a sudden I'm like standing on stage with will.i.am while he's like DJing. And I'm like, how did I get here? Like, what is going on?
Oh my God. That is so funny. I love that it's he must just pop around town and jump in sessions and like, you know, dance around. And if he likes the vibe, he takes people to the club.
I know, it's so funny. He's a really sweet guy. He's really smart too. And you know, this is a weird story, but I think like another time that I had ran into him, like we saw him and he was like, oh, like we were like, oh, what are you working on? Or he asked us what we were working on. We were like, yeah, doing this music and whatever. And he was like, oh, you guys are still doing music? And we were like, what do you mean? And he was like, because he's just like moved on to tech and fashion and all. It's almost like music was just like a gateway drug for like bigger, better things or something. And I mean, which is funny because he's so talented and like obviously like that's innate for him is being a musician. But but you know, the music industry is like, it's rough, it's weird, it's unpredictable. Like we write for free. I mean, if you're an artist, it's a different experience, but like being a songwriter, like being in the rooms, like we don't get paid to be there, you know. It's kind of like it's about the promise of like what we may get on the back end. Like if it's a hit, if it gets streamed, if it gets placed in a movie, then you get paid, you know. And a lot of people don't know that, you know. So I think he's just like, yeah, this is a stupid business model. And I'm like, yeah, it kind of is, which is why I'm like doing my artist thing. And I'm like so excited to be featured on your song, because I'm just like, yes, I get to sing and I get to like actually see something, you know?
Absolutely. And, you know, first I want to ask you, like, how have you kind of withstood the hardships of this industry? Because it can really make some people jaded. It can, you know, it can make some people quit. It can make some people angry and, you know, all the different things. But I feel like you've ridden some pretty big waves through your career, ups and downs that we all face. But you've kind of come out the other side like this like wholehearted person, and you're kind, you still find passion in what you do. And so I'm just curious, how have you like kind of ridden through those waves?
Well, I mean, yeah, they are waves, and it goes in cycles. And there was definitely like a few years there after my big boom of hits with Katie and American Girl and all this stuff, where pop music changed, and like all of a sudden everything sounded like Drake or sounded like Billie Eilish or sounded like, you know, and it was just like not my wheelhouse. And so I was like, I just need to kind of take a step back, because from what I understand, being alive as long as I have, and I'm old, and just from listening to my elders in the industry, pop music goes in like 5-year cycles, where it's like everybody is super big on this like super duper pop thing, and then they get sick of it and it gets oversaturated and everything starts to sound the same, and then something new comes out and then everything sounds like that, and then that gets saturated, and you know, it always ends up though coming back to traditional pop, which is just big melodies, fun danceable music. People are always going to want something to escape to, you know. And so I kind of just like sat it out and was like, all right, it'll be back. I'm just gonna be patient. In the meantime, I'm gonna go like make a short film and like do other things. And here we are back again, and pop is really making a comeback. So I'm glad that I waited it out. But yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. A lot of people, there's a high turnover rate in Los Angeles, and in the music business in general, where people come in and shoot their shot, and if it doesn't work the first time, then they go home with their tail between their legs, you know. And I'm just not one of those people, and honestly I don't know how to really do anything else other than music and just generally creative things. So I kind of just had to reinvent myself and try different skill sets and find new outlets.
I think you're such a great example of that, because like you said, like you could have, you know, seen that your first album didn't go the way you wanted it to, and you could have gone home. But instead you're like, well, I'm going to learn to be a songwriter. Oh, and also, do you want to talk about, like, you've written a book. You have a short film that you did in the middle of, I believe, the pandemic, when everybody else kind of shut down and hunkered in. You were like, oh, well, I'm going to create a film, you know, and probably the time in history of film to create a film, I'm going to create a film. So, like a film or your book or both.
Yeah, you know, I started writing a book, just sort of an autobiography about just my general experience of being a creative person, and advice for up and comers and stuff like that. And then I kind of got like up to present day and was like, I don't have an ending yet. Like I need to live a little bit more. I have a couple more chapters in my own life that I want to complete and see what happens there, whether I fail or win or whatever it is. I just didn't feel like I had an ending yet. So that is still ongoing. But yeah, during the pandemic, I feel like everybody kind of had a moment where they sat down and looked at their life and went, what really makes me happy? How do I really want to spend my time? And I was like, you know what? I'm just like kind of burnt on music a little bit. And I've always wanted to make a movie. And so I wrote a script. At first I was just going to do a scene for like my acting reel, because I just had the time because everything was shut down. And then I was looking at different scenes from my acting coach, and I was like, none of these really speak to me. I don't think this is going to show my range. So I had this plan. I wanted to make a TV series about, you know, kind of based on my story of being a female recovering addict in the music industry and what that's like. And so I just wrote a scene from that and shot it, and was like, wow, this is kind of a standalone thing. I didn't know anything about film festivals. I didn't know I had directed a few music videos, but I don't know anything about that. But I was like, well, what better time to learn than now? And I just kind of did the whole thing myself. I wrote it and directed it. I edited it. I starred in it and played 2 different roles.
What?
I scored it, I colored it, I really just did the whole shebang. Because I was like, like, when am I ever going to have time to learn how to do this stuff? Like, I have just ample amounts of time. I'm going to be here for another year probably, so let's just do it. And yeah, I'm really glad I did, because I ended up entering it into film festivals, and I've won 53 awards.
Are you kidding me?
Shocking. I can't believe it. But yeah, it's just been fun to know that I have other outlets. So if I get burnt out on music again, then I can go do something else, and I'd like to do them simultaneously,
Wow, I didn't know that. I knew you. I think last time we talked, you're like, "Hey, I won a few awards." I didn't know you won like that many. Is there a plan for because I know sometimes short films are a great proof of concept to be like, "Hey, I want to turn this into a series or a full length feature." Like, is there hope to do that, or are you just kind of like, "That's what it is, and I'm going to move on to do something else"?
I mean, yeah, it's like the scene that I did for the short film, it's only 13 minutes long, is doesn't really reflect there's no music industry side of it. It's just like a conversation between two girls. It's just like it's a very, very dark comedy, I guess you could say. But there really isn't any talking about the music industry or anything like that. I kind of purposefully did something not music industry related, so that I could just be like, look what I can do that doesn't lean on the ace up my sleeve that I'm a hit songwriter, Right. But it's just a good example of my acting chops, I think, more than anything else, and just kind of proof that I can make something out of thin air, So yeah, it has been a good calling card. I wrote a pilot, and I'm pitching it around, so we'll see what comes of it. It's like a much longer process in the film and TV industry than it is with music, because you and I can make a song and put it out tomorrow if we want to, but with this stuff, it really takes a village. It really, really takes a village. So it's going to be a long process for sure.
Yeah, film is such a different animal, and also it's not quite like music where you can just there's not endless opportunities to self-release stuff. You can't just throw it on Spotify and be like, "There's my film." You have to find someone to still kind of, do something with your project. But that's just incredible. And I think that just is such a testament to I feel like a pattern in your life of oh, well, that didn't work out, so now I'm going to try this. Oh, that didn't work out, but I bet I could try this. Oh, I'm burnt out. This isn't working anymore. I'm going to try this. You're just such a mover, and you're constantly evolving. And, and I am so excited that you're, featuring on my album. Not only wrote the song with me, but it just felt so right to have you sing on it as your artist project. And I want to hear, is there anything coming up with your artist project that you're excited about or wanted to share, or where's that at?
Yeah, it's funny. So I made an album back in the day when I was signed to Epic. When I put out American Girl, there was a whole album that went along with that. And the label and I didn't see eye to eye. And so I requested to get let out of my deal, and I left. And they still owned the masters. So 9 years later or whatever, I went on a tour with those songs. And so my fans heard the songs and knew the songs, and they are rabid about these songs. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna dig those back up and see if I can get Sony to cooperate. And so I've been talking to them for several months. It's been kind of a battle, but I found somebody there that's helping me out, and it looks like I'm gonna be able to get the rights to the masters, and I'm gonna be releasing those songs. Because the fans have full fan forums that are dedicated to their dream playlists. They've leaked the demos, they've gotten tattoos of the lyrics.
Wow.
And so I'm like, you know what, this is just especially for my super fans. I don't know if it's only 50 people, I don't know, but I'm ready to give that to them. And it's also about kind of closing a chapter for me. And I think that there's a big nostalgia right now for early 2010s pop music, and that was my pinnacle era. And I feel like these songs deserve to have a life,
I'm so excited to hear you say that pop is coming back to that era, because that's my favorite era of pop. I feel from the Backstreet Boys up through the Katy Perry and the Gaga heyday, that period was pop's greatest moment for me. And I'm like so excited to like have more of that again. So I can't wait to hear like these songs.
Thank you.
You have to keep me updated because I'm, like I said, I'm here for it. I'm ready for pop to go in the Bonnie McKee direction again.
Thank you.
Oh gosh, so good. Like you said, it makes you happy. It makes you want to dance. Like American Girl, like put me in such a good mood right before you popped on. So anyways, I'm excited.
Thank you.
Well, is there anything last you want to say before, before I lose you?
Just I'm so excited for this Christmas song. I really, really am. I'm so honored that you asked me to be a part of it and that you wanted me to be featured on it. It means a lot to me. Like indie queen to indie queen. I'm just like really grateful to be celebrating with you. And I can't wait to see what else we can do together. We should try some non-holiday music while we're at it.
Let's do it. And until then, you guys are going to be, me and Bonnie are going to get together soon and film a bunch of TikToks. So we'll talk offline about that. But I'm like, we're going to just laugh even harder than we did in the session while we try crazy Christmas ladies. So I can't wait.
Me too. Thank you.
All right. See you, Bonnie.
Okay. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye. Okay, well I freaking love Bonnie. She is such a joy to be around and she just always puts me in such a good mood. But I also have my second guest who is about to pop on. So everyone welcome Miss Frawley to the conversation. Okay, there we go. Just invited her in. Ooh, and Fish is back. We lost Fish. Hi, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I am so good. What's going on? Where are you calling in from today?
I'm calling in from Hollywood right now.
Ooh.
Just hanging out. Got a little candle going, chilling out for the rest of the day.
Nice. Is it a good smelling candle? What are we working with today?
Oh my God. So I'm very much into the whole autumn vibe. I was listening to what you and Bonnie were saying about some people just jump right into Christmas, but I fully love to immerse myself into the whole October autumn theme. So this is what is it? It's a pumpkin vanilla candle and it's my favorite. So good.
That sounds fantastic. Are you a big fan of like pumpkin flavored food and treats?
Honestly, I wasn't so into it as a kid, but over the last couple of years, because my sister is, I've started to get into it. Like last night, she made these pumpkin, what is it called? Like cinnamon rolls. And it had this pumpkin cream cheese icing. And I was like, this is deadly. So good.
That sounds amazing. I was kind of like you. I never was into pumpkin, never liked pumpkin pie. But then one day someone made me pumpkin chocolate chip cookies. And I realized that that's the combo I need. As long as there's chocolate chunks in it, I think pumpkin is it becomes incredible.
Chocolate with anything is amazing.
That's true. Yeah, that could probably be the recipe for anything to be a success in my book. But, and speaking of this time of year, don't you think there needs to be more Halloween music or more fall music? You know what I mean?
Yes, you know what? I completely agree. And I've thought about it because I've genuinely thought about potentially making a Halloween song, to pitch, not for me as an artist, but I wonder how you go about it because you just don't hear new Halloween music, I feel the Monster Mash and Thriller, that's the last one that I could name, the earliest one that's Halloween vibe.
Right. I know there's so few Halloween songs and I've joked for a while that I'm I want to make a Halloween album, because I've done Christmas and now it would help me not celebrate Christmas too early if there was more Halloween themed or fall themed music to because I feel as soon as October hits, my heart wants to get into the holidays, not necessarily Christmas. I just want to start to get festive, but there's not a lot of music. So I usually end up playing my Christmas music so early anyways, but yeah. So we'll just have to write a Halloween song together now.
We should definitely do that. That would be so fun.
But I will say, Frawley and I did write a Christmas song together, and she is actually featured on my album that is coming out this weekend. And so I thought it would be really fun to pop on here and just talk some about, like, I don't know. Well, first I want to talk about you as a writer, but also I love the song that, you know, that we did. I think it's so fun.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this song to come out. I was texting my mom and telling her to tell my little brother because he loves Christmas and he's gonna go like bananas over it. No, it's such a fun, it's a great like upbeat, fun Christmas song. It's like very classic sounding.
So yeah, it does feel so classic, and it's like that perfect song to like decorate the Christmas tree too. And I will say I'm gonna shout out your praises because this song was like kind of practically done. Like usually I write all my own songs, like I'll go in a room and, you know, write with people, but this song was like actually almost all done. We just tweaked it to make it feel like me, because you had this song and you kind of pitched it to us like, hey, I already have one. What do you think of this? So I want to hear, when did you actually write the first draft of the song?
I think I started writing that song. It was during quarantine, and I'm pretty sure it was like May. It was definitely not the Christmas season. And wrote it with a couple of other guys on Zoom. And yeah, we just knew instantly that the song was really special and it needed to find the perfect home. And it found its way to you, which I'm so excited about.
Yes. And I'm curious. So you've kind of more recently moved, you know, made the jump to come to LA. And so I'm just curious, like, how has that experience been as you kind of have dove right into the music industry and jumped into this crazy pool of creativity and craziness? Like, how has that been?
So I've been, well, it's been very wild. I moved here in February, and I had been coming to LA back and forth for a couple of years with my mom, with my sister, like making little trips. But yeah, this was the first time that I'm just like here fully, feet on the ground, doing my thing. And it's been so much fun. I'm so excited to be here and grateful, but I definitely do miss the East Coast and, you know, family. This is my first time ever not living, like being away from home. And I was doing my music prior to moving out here all on the East Coast. So I was a New York City girl. I was like, there's no way you're going to get me to go to LA. Like I made all my music in Manhattan, but quarantine happened, the pandemic hit. Every writer in New York decided that they were going to go to LA. So there was nothing left of New York. So I made the move myself. And yeah, no, it was the best decision ever that I've ever made. It's been a lot of fun. It's been lots of ups and downs, of course, but
of course. Yeah. Do you feel like it was what you expected, or has it been like a little bit different, or have there been like big surprises that you're like, I did not expect the industry to be like this, or anything like that?
Industry wise, I feel like I haven't seen anything that's been too crazy, only because I've seen this whole industry just on the East Coast. So nothing has shocked me like too much. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't think there's anything like that was too wild. I think when I first moved out here though, it felt like vacation. And then after like month 4, it was like, okay, girl, like you're living here. You gotta chill out. Like this is not a trip anymore. This is life.
Right. You're like, beach day every day.
Yeah. I was like, are we going to get dinner after the session? Like all that.
Right. Cause you were probably in that mindset of like, that's what you do when you come to LA. But then you're like, wait, I live here now. Like I have a kitchen. Okay. I can cook.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Well, I actually want to play one of your songs. I have like all queued up. If I don't laugh, I'll cry. And so would you like to kind of intro the song and tell us a little bit about it?
Oh yeah. So I wrote this song I believe in March. It was like right when I moved out here. I wrote it with Russ Chell. I was sitting in my kitchen. It was like 2 a.m. I had actually just gotten back from a session with Russ, and I was trying so hard to write an amazing song that day, and it just wasn't happening. And I had just also gone out like previously, like the night before, with a couple of friends, and this whole thing went down where, you know, I had liked the boy, and then I was finally over him, and he was brought up into conversation, and then all of a sudden what was a great night turned into me just like, you know, just like kind of caving into myself, being sad and feeling like we gotta pull through for the rest of the night. But I know that like when I get home, I'm totally gonna bawl my eyes out. So yeah, the song is called If I Don't Laugh, I'll Cry, because if I did not laugh in that moment, I was definitely going to cry.
Oh, all right. Well, here, that's a good setup. Let's give it a listen. Oh, that song is like, it makes my heart feel all kinds of things when I listen to it. Oh,
I haven't listened to the full version in a minute. It's been a while. Because I feel like once you write the song and you're like in the process of like mixing and mastering and, you know, doing all that, like once it's finally out, you're not going back to listening to it all the way through. So that's so funny listening to the whole thing.
isn't that funny? That's what, like, we had a guest on a few weeks ago who said the exact same thing. He was like, I haven't listened to that song like since probably I like mixed it, you know, like, because it's true. We don't like just have playlists of our own music that we're like constantly listening to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you can feel it in that song that it came from like a pretty raw, real place. Like it really comes across. So, and that song got really big through TikTok, right?
It had its little moment on TikTok. Yeah. I just decided, like, I came home one day, like after writing it, we didn't even have, we were in the studio, we played it for someone, me and Russ, and they were like, oh my gosh, this is really good. And we're like, really? We kind of like looked at each other because there was no production. It was just the top line and a guitar. And they're like, yeah, you should just like post it on TikTok. So I went home, made a little TikTok video for it, and slowly but surely it started gaining like some traction. And it was really awesome to see. Like, there's nothing like more rewarding than, you know, writing a song that's so important to you and conveys like exactly like how you feel, and like just tells a specific moment, and then for other people to relate to it just as like hard as you do, like that is just so like such a great feeling.
Right. And there's something so great about TikTok that it's like truly the user, the audience, they decide, you know, there's no sort of like, oh, this is what the label wants. It's like you get to throw things out there and, you know, really see if it sticks like that. Like, and so yeah, you decided after the reaction that you would finish the song. Is that kind of how it worked?
Yeah. So once the song started like going kind of viral, we were just like racing to get the song done. I think we went into the studio to record like final vocals, like we spent a whole entire day of production. Yeah, we were like racing against the clock to try and get that done. And then, you know, doing the whole mixing and mastering process, like trying to speed that along. And I'm the worst when it comes to mixing. Like I just get so in my head. So that's what probably like took it a little while, because I kept getting messages from people. They're like, where's the song? And I'm like, I'm working on it. So
yes. I would say that I think the mixing part is my least favorite part of making an album, because you get so attached to these songs and these demos, and then you start to be like, it's like you're staring at a painting with your eyes, like your eyeball touching the canvas, you know. You get so close to it that you start to be like, am I having demoitis where I'm too attached to the demo, or is it that this is not right? Like I stop being able to tell anymore. I get so confused.
100%. And I'm like trying to start, you know, stepping away from, like, if I can step away from the song for like a couple days before it goes into the whole mixing process. Because demoitis is very real. Yeah. And it's hard to get past that. How did you find it with mixing your upcoming album? did you find this mixing process like pretty easy, or were you also like in that demoitis phase?
I mean, I think we all go through it. You know, I think I definitely always get stuck in it for a little bit, but I've also learned that mixing is not my greatest gift. You know, I don't always hear everything. I don't always know how loud the drums should be or shouldn't be. Like, I have my idea, but I've also learned to like kind of really trust some of these other people around me that I'm like, I know that, for example, like, you know, one of my day-to-day managers, Sammy, he's great at mixing. He has a great ear for it. And learning to turn to him and be like, Sammy, what do you think? You know, and like really trusting the opinions, and like that. It's been nice to have that support in that area, because I've just learned I'm not great at the mixing process.
No, mixing, honestly, me as well. I think I hyper focus on the vocals, and then I leave the rest to definitely Sammy as well. I always, oh my God, I toss everything to him. I'm like, does this sound right?
Right.
Yeah, he's the best at that. He's definitely the best.
He is. I'm curious, how do you jump back and forth between being an artist and being a songwriter? Because I feel like you wear both hats really well. So is that hard for you to kind of jump back and forth between the two hoops?
Honestly, I love doing both, because sometimes I just feel so I feel so burnt out for myself, and I just like I'm maybe not so inspired, or I feel like I don't have anything to say at the moment. So it's like a nice little reset for me to go into a room and write for someone else, and get to look at a song from a totally different perspective, and also just like not be so when I go into a room for myself, I'm definitely more critical, and when I go in for someone else, the pressure isn't as, you know, high for me. I'm not like, oh my God, this and that, like, would I really say that? So I think it's kind of therapeutic in a way. It's a nice little balance for me. I get to jump back and forth.
Yeah. Do you feel like kind of being able to look on the outside in when you're working with like another artist and you're more of the writer side, do you feel like that helps you give yourself a little more grace when you are writing for yourself and you put the artist shoes on?
For sure. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so. Because it's like easy enough when you're like helping somebody else to be like, hey, give yourself some slack. Like, you know, but then you turn around and you're like, oh gosh, I'm not doing the same thing for myself, you know?
Yeah. It's all,
I was thinking about, oh, sorry, go on.
No, sorry, cut out. Go for it.
Oh, well, I was actually just going to talk about how we met, actually. And I don't know if everybody knows this, but we met through both of our manager, who now manages Frawley as well. But she suggested you to be in my Christmas special back in 2020 because like I really felt like we needed to have a singer there to sing Christmas Come On. It's such a vocal heavy song. And, you know, and we were trying to find somebody who, that's a hard song to sing. We were trying to find someone who could sing it that could come. And I was shocked when she sent me your vocal. I'm like, oh my gosh, like you absolutely blew it out of the water and did such a good job. But I mean, how was that experience for you? I want to hear actually from your perspective how it was coming and filming that Christmas special, because it was such a whirlwind and you were such a rock star.
Oh my gosh, that was like, honestly, like that was one of the craziest moments for me. It was just so exciting, like flying out to LA and then going to Vegas, and the set that you had, and like it was I've never seen anything like that, and you guys were so incredible, and I was so nervous. I think I told you that I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God. And I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be one take, or we were trying to go through it all at once, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. What if I mess up? But you guys were like the absolute best. It was an incredible experience. It was so much fun to do.
It really was. And to be honest, I think that whole project will be for a long time like one of the things I'm most proud of. To this day, it right now is definitely probably the project I'm the most proud of that I've ever done. And you know, you just really brought it all together. Like a really important part of the show was that song. And also you came like on that was the very last thing we shot. So by the time you arrived, we were like at that point where we're about to cross the finish line. So we were all so relieved that it had like pretty much all worked. You know what I mean? So we were like, yay. We were like already starting to almost like celebrate by the time you got there. We were so excited. But also, I remember you told me, you're like, yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. And I was like, oh, that's fine. And then you continued by telling me, I've actually never like shot a music video before. Oh, that's fine. And you're like, yeah, I don't really like, I haven't done a lot of live performing either. And I'm like, oh, that's fine. So I thought, oh, she's going to we'll have to do this a bunch of times. So that's okay. Oh my gosh, you were so cute. You just like, you went from being kind of in this like kind of hunched over posture that looks like, oh, I'm nervous, to as soon as the music started and the camera came on, you just like straightened up and your eyes lit up and you became this like boss performer. And I just remember my dancers and I being like, nervous what? Like she was perfect. You were so cute on camera and everything. So anyways, I was extremely impressed by your stage presence and just how poised you were in that situation.
Thank you so much. Oh my God. You guys made it such a comfortable experience. Like it was great. It was so much fun. Honestly, if I could relive that day like over and over, I totally would. It was
Me
great.
too. It was fun. It was a really good time. I guess, is the Christmas song that we did together that's coming out this Friday, is that the only Christmas song you've written or have you written multiple?
I've actually written a bunch of Christmas songs. It's so funny, like whenever May comes around, like every year, I just like go into this hibernation and I just like write at least like 5 to 10 Christmas songs. It's very weird. It's like clockwork for my body at this point. So I have a Christmas cover of my own out. I don't have any originals yet for myself, but I do have a song out with JoJo and someone else. There's a couple. I'm blanking right now. There's a few Christmas songs out there that I've written.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I love Christmas. Clearly.
I know. I remember that's the first thing Jess told me about you. And she was like, I think Frawley could sing the song. She's like, and she loves Christmas, so she'll be perfect. And I'm like, well, yes, whoever does it, they gotta love Christmas because it's going to be, all like Christmas, a lot of Christmas. But yeah, no, I'm just so impressed by you're just such a poised artist. You're so kind. You're so talented. And it's been cool to see what a hustler you are just through like the amount of songs you're putting out, but also like the way you're promoting it on TikTok. And I think that's half the battle of being an artist is just like, do you have the stamina to like keep going and keep going and keep going, even when things don't seem like they're ticking? So I've just always been really impressed by watching you as you've kind of dove headfirst into all of this in the last, few years. But is there anything that you're excited about, like from your own artist project that you want to share with us before we lose you?
I am excited about, I have a lot of new music coming out. I believe I'm going to wait until the new year. But yeah, I'm super excited about all these new songs. It's high, like it's very, very pop. I was listening to you and Bonnie speaking about like the Katy Perry and like the Backstreet Boys and all that, like that high energy, good feeling pop. And that's exactly what my inspiration is for all of my new records. So I'm very excited for all of those songs to be coming out in the new year. And I'm so excited for the song.
Yes, I am so excited. I can't wait for everybody to hear it. Like it's so happy. It is got that like pop feel that we've been talking about, but just like the Christmas version of it. So I can't wait for everybody to hear our new song this Friday. And also I can't wait to hear your new music. That sounds like literally I've been craving some good pop. I haven't loved the direction pop has been in the last few years, just personal preference.
Hey, I'm right there with you. Right there with you.
So yeah, I'm really excited for both your music, for Bonnie's music, and for the Christmas music of the season. But thanks so much for being here and for chatting with me. You're just lovely, and this has been so much fun.
You're the best. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Mwah. See you.
Bye.
All right. I'm going to try to bring Miss Fish back on. Let's see if she is here. Oh, she is here. Okay. But yeah, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that I got to talk to them. I'm glad you guys got to hear their stories. I think they're just such class acts in terms of women in music, in terms of writers, in terms of artistry. And so I'm glad I got to talk to both of them. Fish, are you there?
I'm back. Hooray. Oh, my heart broke when my app froze.
I know, you just like popped off. I was like, oh, we lost our friend Fish.
I got so sad. My favorite Frawley story in the whole world, and I wish I had been on while you two were talking when we were filming on for the Home for the Holidays special. She was wearing that big hat, and I remember because we were like in the sun all day, and a little bit of glue from inside that hat started to melt, and I noticed it, and I thought, oh no, and we had to run inside to the house that we were next to and wash it out of her hair, and I felt so bad.
I forgot about that. Yes. I was so embarrassed because like I brought this cute little like toy soldier hat that I was so cute, and I was really excited to like be like, you can wear this hat, and then it like I forgot it melted glue on her hair. I was so embarrassed.
Oh, she was such a good sport about it, and I felt so bad. I felt like it was my fault, and she was just like, "No, it's okay, it's okay." I mean, we got it out. I mean, we easily washed it out. But
I don't think she still has the glue in her hair. We could have asked, but yeah, I don't think it's still there.
Oh gosh, I love her. She's so cool.
Yeah, so sweet. I love both her and Bonnie. You got to meet Bonnie someday too. Bonnie is just a blast, and she throws a great party. She always has like usually an annual. Actually, I need to ask her if she's having a Halloween party this year. Because she always has a Halloween party, and it's always themed. One year it was sci-fi themed. Anyways, so she puts on a great party. So, anyways.
Good time, the same thing every year,
right? We were actually Fish. I don't know if I talked. Yes, I did talk to you about this. We're going to be in rehearsals when Halloween happens, so we'll probably that whole week be in really long rehearsals all day. We'll be exhausted, and so I had an idea that I wanted to throw a Halloween party for our tour crew, just something fun to break things up a bit, give us all a little bit of a break midday to kind of relax from rehearsal. And tell me this is a good idea. I thought it'd be funny to provide random supplies, like household type supplies, like toilet paper, trash bags, like those kind of supplies, put some ribbon and tape. And then people have to draw out of a hat, like costumes, like a spider or a witch, but they have to make their costume out of the stuff from the random pile.
I love it.
Is that funny?
I mean, I think it's funny, but we'll see how many people think it's funny.
It's funny. Whenever I think of this kind of stuff in my mind, that sounds like such a fun challenge to be like, see a pile of like random odds and ends and be like, oh, I have to make something out of it. But like a few Halloweens ago, like I was dating this guy and I bought pumpkins for us to carve. And I realized that I don't think like everyone. Like I spent so long making my pumpkin look like as intricate as I possibly could. His goal was to just finish the pumpkin as quickly as possible, move on to like eating or doing something else. And I'm like, no, the fun is in the creation. So I could see our crew being like, they would put a hole in a plastic bag and like put on their head, be like, see, I'm a witch. And I'd be like, no, you got to make it look beautiful and cool. I feel I'm setting myself up for an extreme amount of disappointment here.
I was going to say, you're definitely like teeing this up, and I don't know how far they're going to hit the ball. They might just, like poke it with their finger, but that's still something. That's fine.
We're going to obviously film this for TikTok. I think that would make the TikTok even funnier. I think when they do not buy into my shenanigans and they, I think that makes the content even all the more funnier because it makes me look like such a like crazy lady and it makes them look sane. And,
the best part of that is that like, it's not like we're faking that. Like we're not faking them. Like none of the reactions are staged. Like, no, people just genuinely are like, Sterling, we're not doing that.
Yeah. More times than not. Oh my gosh. So true. Well, I want to play one more song from each of our girls. So I think I asked Bonnie what she would want me to play, and we're going to play Bombastic. It's from her Bombastic. I don't remember if it's an EP. No, it's an album. It's from an album called Bombastic. She did warn me. She said there is an F-bomb or two in it. So just everyone forewarned. I thought that was really sweet that Bonnie knows me well enough that she's like, I don't think Lindsey swears. So, but Bonnie, I've changed. Every once in a while, I say the word like shit and stuff like that.
Lindsey, no.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Every once in a while, I'll let one slip because I'm edgy like that. So, anyways,
So edgy.
So I'm the wild one of the group. Okay, here we go. This is Bombastic by Bonnie. Woohoo! I think I must have found the clean version because I didn't notice. There was only one version on this app, so I guess you're all spared. No F-bombs.
Oh my gosh, what a great song.
I mean, right? I love the no more Mr. Nice Guy, like that syncopation there. I'm like, oh yeah, I could definitely see myself like getting ready for my evening, like singing that in the mirror, just pepping myself up.
Absolutely. It's such a pump up song. I love it. I
mean, Bonnie like literally is one of the best writers like historically in this business for like, like over a decade now. She's no joke. So yeah, I cannot wait to hear the songs she was talking about that she's been like kind of just holding on to. And anyways, because she's held on to them for 10 years for a reason. She hasn't given them away to anybody else for a reason. Well, let's see. I want to play one last song from Frawley. And so we've got Hard Boy. And I don't know the story behind this one. I should have asked her before she left, but I guess we're just going to all dive into it together. This is Hard Boy from Frawley. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for our Wednesday radio session. It feels good to be back. We'll be back next week at the same time. And I think, Fish, are you going to be back next week here?
I don't know. I'll have to look at the calendar. I don't know yet. I'll let you know.
Either way, Fish will be on.
I'll be here.
I know, I can't keep the weeks straight anymore. I'm like, are you gone for a month or 2 weeks or one day? I don't remember. My life just feels like I live it morning by morning.
Oh, same.
But anyways, it was good to talk to you too. I miss you.
I miss you too, man. This is weird. Life doesn't feel right.
I know. I'm like, where's Fish? I need to do at least every other day. But anyways, we'll catch up off the record again. But thanks everyone for joining us, and thanks also to our amazing guests today. I just think they're just both such powerful women, and it's really fun to see how people carve their own different unique paths. And also I think it's really cool to see how this industry is made up. Like Bonnie said, like she's like, I didn't even know songwriting was a thing, but it's like there's a million ways to get into any industry that you want to be in, like whether it's tech or music or film, like whatever. The obvious choice is not always the way it has to be. There's so many different jobs to be in entertainment and whatnot. So anyways, I think they're both such great examples of finding their own way through their own story. So until next week, we'll see you guys soon.
Goodbye.
Bye.